What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode clip of the Podcast. And just a reminder that these are only shortened clips, and if you want to listen to the full episode, make sure you click the first link in the description below. Alternatively, you could type in the Podcast on all your audio listening platforms. And if you want to catch up with what goes on behind the scenes, make sure you follow our Instagram page at the Podcast. And without further ado, I'll catch you guys on the other side. Before COVID, was London, the hectic place, everyone, being like, rats going to the race, and
yeah,
was it like that, proper hectic?
London is London. It's the place to be. It's like there's always something to do.
It's facts.
It's facts. It's facts. It's not facts. These facts are not facts.
You are now listening to Breathe the Podcast with your host Mujaro.
What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Podcast. And you know what I'm going to say, Cameron? Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Because we're trying to build a community here. And by sharing this with your friends and family, that goes a long way in helping us do that. And without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome back to the Podcast. Ooh, it's going to be a good one today. I've got a very special guest. I know I say that all the time, but this one is from one of the mandem. One of the mandem, you've seen it on, the Techers, Thursday Techers, doing the little step overs, Cruyff turns and that. Man's banging in top bins, bottom corners. It's Mr. Cameron Green. Hey, man. Welcome to the Podcast. I know you've been wanting to come on for a while, but, it's all about getting the right episode, and I feel like this is the perfect time. How you been, man? How you been?
Yeah, I've been good, Yeah, just, happy, like, sun's shining. I've got no worries in the world. Obviously, off the back of our game on Thursday, I had a good game.
Yeah, how was that? 8-a-side. It was the first time we all got that many people together.
It was the first time I've played 8-a-side in a while. Like, normally do 6-a-side, but here I was able to stretch my legs. I did my little step over, got my goal.
It was definitely hectic. Yeah, it was hectic as hell. But it was definitely a fun experience. We'll see how the recording goes, though.
Yeah, I'm hoping you made me look good.
Hey, I've already had Raf asking me, yo, send me the recordings. I need to review the thing. I was like, yeah. I'll get there. I'll send it to you, fam. Don't worry about that, Raf. I got you. But I wanted to, bring you in. Let's talk about, who is Mr. Cameron Green? So where you from? Where would you say you reside or your heritage is?
So, a bit more about me. Like, my family's West Indian, Jamaican.
Okay.
So my grandparents, part of the Windrush generation.
Oh.
They came over in probably the 1950s, 60s, something like that. And I've grew up in North London. And I moved to East London where I started secondary school, and just lived my life in London up until I was 18 and moved to Reading for university.
Yeah, everyone's got a lot of ties with Reading University. Like, even I haven't been, but obviously it's such a small, it's not even a city yet. It's a town still. It should be a city. Like, come on, man, Boris. Someone conservatively, the MP, PM, get on that. We need to make Reading a city already. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of love in the city, in the town.
There is,
and there's a lot of connections that people have been able to make. So let's take it back. Let's take it back to London. Everyone's heard of, the London life. It's hectic. It's busy. We've all heard about the ends, the block, postcode wars, gang violence activities. Would you say, growing up, that was very prevalent in your area?
So for me, it wasn't. Like, round from where I'm from, it's quite calm. It's quite chill. You just kind of know where you should and shouldn't be going.
Oh, so have you gotten the stereotypical, yo fam, what end you from? Have you had that before?
I have, but this is where you got to be sensible. You got to know how to answer that question.
Political. Yeah, it's very political.
If you know someone's from that area, you say you're from that area too. And
I'm from where you from.
Yeah, exactly. And you might even have a mutual friend. Make sure you're saying that that they're cool with. If you don't know them, it's how they approach you. If they're a bit more aggressive, then you got to maybe make sure you
stand your ground.
Yeah,
because if not, they'll take you for an idiot.
They see that weakness. Not for me.
Right.
I'm not being that person getting caught.
So would you say, it was a big thing in the area? You just knew where not to go, because that's how it was for me. I wouldn't say there was loads of gang activity in my area in Manchester, but my parents just told me, if anything pops off, to to turn the other way.
Yeah.
If you see just anyone moving some type of way, I've always known if anything's trying to pop off, I'm just not involved still.
So one thing is you always kind of try and move in packs with other people, but that's just what you do as kids anyway. You always want to just be chilling. But yeah, it's just about not going to certain areas. You know the places where you probably shouldn't be going, so you know you try and avoid it and you just do your own thing. And London it's a big city like anywhere else. It's safe, but obviously there's a lot higher crime rate. So
because like from the outside in, I feel like there's this perception of inner city London, especially with black community, that gun violence and not gun violence, stabbings and gang activity is like super prevalent. Like it was so prevalent that I was part of a community club. I know that community clubs are big in London back in the day. But I was part of the West Indian Community Club in Leavesden. Well, not Leavesden, in Longsight, Manchester. And we went on this field trip, had to wake up early, get on the coach for our journey into central London, where they had a whole conference about community, obviously working on youth, but they had a whole segment, or like a good portion of the day based around postcode wars and gang activities and the things you should avoid, and how not to get involved with those types of people, and seek help from your family, tell friends what's happening in your life, or if you're struggling with things, and not to turn into that life. But honestly, I felt like it was just when I was watching it and they were telling me about it, I was like, yo, this is stupid. Like, we're part of the same people, we look the same, we've got enough struggles as black people in the first place, so to be fighting amongst each other's based around an area, and obviously it's not around that specific area instead of in terms of postcode, this is my postcode. It's more about the activities that go on in that area.
So for me, that's what it is. Like, someone's from an area, you're from that area. When you have a business, you want to drive out the competition. These guys are that is their business, that is their life. It's sad to hear, but you hear some of them say, I've got two options in life. It's either death or prison. And that's a sad reality, that's all they think they can achieve. But that just goes down to a bigger kind of issue. Is like, why are they in this situation? Why is there not more support? Everyone always just thinks it's financial. It's not. Sometimes it's emotional, it's mental. There's so many other ways that we can target and help these youth.
And I feel like obviously it all starts from home, because if everything's not like we all see in school, there's always that one person going through it, they're always acting up, doing the madness, and most of the time it boils down to like the home's not happy, parents are fighting amongst each other, divorce happens, splitting up, and that I feel like family is super important in that way, especially because that's where you're supposed to be resting your head and having good times. But if you're leaving school knowing that I need to go home to my mum fighting with my dad all the time, you're not going to want to go home. You're going to want to act up in school so that there's something different to go back home to. Instead of going straight back home, you might have to stay an extra hour in.
Well, these things happen. Like, it's all those kind of things you mentioned, they happen in life. But that's where the support is needed. If a kid's going into school acting up, and the parents aren't really like communicating with the teachers and on behavior, we have this system set up, so a kid's acting poorly, so we're just going to punish them, rather than really like delve into why they're acting that kind of way. Root cause
analysis.
Right? So that's what we need to. We really need to like focus on kids. What is the real problem here? Why are they not doing well in school? And not so much focus on behavior, because a lot of kids now, you find that there's a lot of like neurodiversity, or someone's got like, for example, ADHD, or someone's suffering from depression. We're seeing the effect of mental health a lot more now.
I feel like because we're looking for it more, like we're more aware of it, we've got more knowledge in it, and before it was just send them away, out of sight, out of mind. And
that means we need more support in our school systems. The kids are our future, and the education system's one of the first financial, well, I guess the places where we take money from. It always starts there with cuts. It's always the kids, and that's poor.
Like, for example, community centres. Like, there was a big thing about community centres. You hear about London. Community centres were a big thing. You hear about all the artists that have come through London. They say, we went to this community centre. That's where I met that guy, and we linked up afterwards, and that's when we connected and started to do our thing. Do you think community centres, work, or do you think they should be, given more funding? Or
I think so. I remember I went to like one, and it was fun. It's it's a group of kids. You meet up. You might play football. They've got like table football, ping pong, all those kind of games, activities. Yeah. But it's trying to keep those kids coming back, retaining that. And sometimes, what kids are like, they get a bit bored and they might not turn up. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, it's not working. And then they cut the funding of it, and then they scrap the youth system or the youth centre. So I think they can work if they're long-term and there's an actual activity there for kids to be doing. Mm-hmm. But it needs proper support. It can't just be, oh, yeah, we're going to set this up. You can attend here. You come for a couple hours. You have to have people who are committed and want to actually work there and help the kids.
That's where I feel like with the West Indian Community Centre in Longside, that's where I feel like that was their strong points, because you had, volunteers, Mr. Washington and Brother Keith, shout out to them too. They were like mentors for me when I was young. I was like probably like 12 to 15. Every Saturday, they would like teach you, obviously maths, English. There was stuff on spelling and public speaking, and we did other activities. So there was one person, like Mr. Washington, who would like map out the whole program for the year, what we got planned. They'll inform the parents, and they'll form local schools to advertise and stuff like that. And there was a whole structure from top to down, and he help. He was like fundamental in that, and I really appreciated that. At the time, you're thinking, "Oh, Mr. Washington's on my case all the time," da 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 da. But looking back on it, you actually realise, oh wow, that was the hard work he was putting into the community to make sure people like me came out
and succeeded
in whatever way that was for myself. And looking back, you can really appreciate those times. Yeah. So you don't think there was that type of leadership, type of structure?
I think the main thing when you have stuff like that is you really have to have a goal of what the youth centre is for. Mm-hmm. So if it's for fun and activities, it needs to be that. And then if you're trying to have some education in it, you have to make sure it's not too much like school, because kids don't want to. You mentioned about maths, spelling, all those kind of things. Those are important things.
That I would say that was what our focus was.
Yeah. But like stuff like public speaking, you said you can make public speaking fun. So you can maybe say, oh yeah, who is into like writing poems, who's into rap,
those competitions like that,
stuff like that. Then you can make it fun, but it's still good for your progression, so that when people do progress in their careers, they're able to use those as soft skills.
In interviews,
and stuff like that. So those are the kind of things we should be using it for, to give kids extra skills rather than just the academic kind of skills. So if we had that focus and made it fun, they could probably work. But again, it comes down to funding.
Yeah, our community centre, I think they received some funding, but it wasn't as much as you would probably think. So there was a tuition fee, which was reasonable. Like, it was definitely reasonable, and I feel like a lot of people in that community centre got a lot out of it. And it was just down to the hard work of the volunteers and people like Mr. Washington and Brother Keith. Like, shout out to them. I think when I graduated, I had like a whole ceremony about, Majar's graduated, yeah. And then they came.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
It was really nice seeing them. I did a little speech as well.
So all the hard work.
Yeah, all the hard work paid off.
It paid off.
Yeah, so imagine them seeing that and be like, yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because bringing everyone together and celebrating someone who's graduated. And
I think just to add on that, like I grew up within the church as well. So I've had a community around me. So there's people at church who used to kind of encourage you as well on a Sunday. Similar to what you said, they'd be like, oh yeah, you should, you need to make sure you work hard. Yeah. Make your parents proud and stuff like that. Those little subtle forms of encouragement, it all help.
Yeah, and I feel like that's where it comes, like I said, it starts from the family. So if your dad and mum want you to succeed, right? Every effort they would be doing outside of school will be helping you to do that. Like, my parents were like, education. So, okay, if he's not performing well in school, what can we do, of places we can seek help for him to get that extra bit of education? Saturday school, cool. You can do education there, but you can also do fun stuff there. We have other activities. So I feel like it's a massive chain that needs to be fixed and be stable for you to, because anything can take you off path.
It's true. It's true.
But shout out to them. Hopefully the community centres can can come back. I don't even know how community centres were working during COVID, to be honest.
Honestly, so that was me growing up in our time. I didn't even think community centres would work now. Kids love social media.
Yeah.
That's their thing.
They're on Fortnite. There's barely any kids outside these days.
They don't go to parks. When was the last time you saw a kid playing football in the park?
Come on, I've seen... literally, I live next to a park, so I see them, they're there.
Okay, fair.
But they're probably like proper sporty kids. But I think, you know, people want to be outside. I feel like we've had enough time inside. Yeah. Like, what was London like during COVID? I mean, okay, before COVID, was London, you know, the hectic place, you know, everyone, you know, being like, you know, rats going to the race, and was it like that proper hectic?
London is London. It's the place to be. It's like, there's always something to do.
It's facts.
It's facts! It's facts! It's not facts. These sites are not facts.
If you're working Monday to Friday, you can go out
every day.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
Monday to Friday.
There's always like a comedy show, food places,
theatre, cinema. You know, there's events going on, and that's just Monday to Friday. Then you've got your weekends, and that's when you really want to turn.
Yo, that's where we're going.
Yeah,
yo,
exactly.
Wingfest, here we come.
I'm ready.
Deck the microphone, champions live and direct, set Bob. Vibes in that, cruise like a 4-wheel drive in that.
We're ready.
I'm eating all day.
Yo, bro. Yeah, you're ahead of me. I've still got some food from earlier this morning, so I need to flush that down before we go.
Oh, you nasty.
But yeah, it's the place. I'm telling you. Like, for me, when I finished uni, I was always traveling in, seeing friends, going out. You know, make sure I get my trim on the Saturday morning to make sure that when I see everyone later, I'm looking fresh. You know, it kind of motivates you to look after yourself as well, because you want to be presentable. Yeah, you always got to reflect yourself in the best way possible. Yeah. So I think there's a certain level of, I don't know, pride that you hold yourself with, but maybe that comes with the reputation of, because you're always in that rat race, as you say, you're always working too much. You're not really actually enjoying what you're doing sometimes. Yeah, you're just thinking about the next motive. Yeah. What's the next motive? I've noticed, like, speaking to a lot of people from London now, it's like, yo, what's the next motive, man? Shout me. I'm like, yo, shout me too, because in Manchester, I don't think it's like that. In Manchester, it's more like, if someone is planning something like ahead of time, it's like you let them know like a good month or two ahead of time. Well, not a month or two, like 2 weeks ahead of time. So everything's planned. So you might not do something this weekend, but you know, in 2 weekends' time, you'll probably be doing something. But it feels like in London, it's like, yo, what are you doing on Friday? And it's Thursday. Exactly. It's like, yo, I'm out. Yeah. I'm outside. You saw each other on Tuesday. You had a great night. It's like, let's do this again as soon as possible. It's like you're trying to recreate school. Yeah, recreate the vibes. Recreate the vibes. So when COVID came, obviously, that put a lot of stop to all of those, you know, busy activities. Where were you during COVID? Were you in Reading at the time? So I was in Reading. Yeah. So my work was based around here. I had a physical role, so I had to go into my office. So it wasn't a case of I wasn't working from home. But we had to do an adjustment where office-based people were at home and then lab people were in the office itself, obviously to do physical work. So, for me, things just changed. A lot of our communication was online, and working habits. I kind of liked it because I was able to focus more on myself and do a lot more development stuff. In terms of personal life, it just meant I wasn't able to see my family or friends. Yeah. And it just went to, I'm one of the people that's benefited from it. So, I had more money in my pocket. Yeah. I was able to just focus on myself, develop myself and move on. But that emotional side where I wasn't able to see like my grandmother, my mum, my dad. And especially with everything that was going on, all the, will we go into lockdown? Won't we go into lockdown? How cases, deaths, everything. And then, you've got people making decisions in the government who are, we won't get into on some crud. On some crud. But let's just say certain decisions are made, and 1 minute it's one rule, then it's another rule, and they're changing too often that people just stop not caring about what they said. Because imagine them trying to go into lockdown now, especially this government. Hell no, no one would. But not a chance. Not even a chance. That's why the cases are supposedly be going up now. But no one's paying attention to it. So the only thing that I could arguably say they did well, and it kind of burns me to say this, is the vaccination rollout. Okay, they had that down. They said that the understanding was that if you take the vaccine and enough people take it, it will work so that people don't have to like isolate and it's true. We've been argued back to how we were before. With your pro or anti-vaccine, I don't care about that. It's just about us getting back to normal, and we have to get there at some point.
I feel like that was the one thing they couldn't fuck up on. That's the one thing they couldn't. They had to get that right, because that's, at the end of the day, their bread. You got to get the economy back. Got to get people out to work. Get it for yours and get back to work, type of thing.
So just a mention on that. Actually, that's the one reason why I can't view this whole COVID thing as a conspiracy.
Oh, a pandemic.
Listen, we live in the UK. The UK loves money. There's no way they're gonna harm their economy for the sake of it. So this all these conspiracy people. I'm looking at you guys. This was not planned.
Yeah,
no way.
It definitely wasn't.
No
planned.
way.
So I can imagine London just being a ghost town, because I went to the Black Lives Matter protest. That was towards the end of lockdown, and it was I won't say busy, but it was relatively, because obviously it was a protest anyways. Yeah. But when I left the protest to just walk about London, it was a ghost town. Like, I went to Parliament Square, to outside the gates of Buckingham Palace. Literally, it was a ghost town. There was no one there. It felt eerie. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
I saw the videos.
This is not what I imagine London to be. And yeah, it was scary times. But coming out of lockdown and post-COVID, do you think it's back to the way it was?
Nah.
I think from outside looking, I feel like it is, because I've only been a couple times more.
For London, it's maybe it is in terms of seeing people around, but I still feel like connections, people having that willingness to meet up. I think people kind of enjoyed the bit of self-love, self-time. So I think, I'm basing this on me personally though. Like, I was going out like most weekends, always doing something. I'm not doing that as much. I'm more thinking about what I want to do, getting the most of my weekends, trying to do more. And I think, with the rising cost of living...
that cost of living is crazy.
You can't even afford to go out.
We'll get onto that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think, I personally don't think it's back to normal. I think some people are still scared, and rightly so, because this was no like...
This was only a year ago we were in lockdown, right?
Well, back in Christmas, we were still like worried about COVID, and we hadn't we still had rules in place. So... I think people were still a bit skeptical, and I hear it, but yeah, we're getting there. I think give us another year, we could be back to how we were pre-COVID.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Said I wake up every morning, pray to God that I'm fixing up. Hope I'm never slipping up. Hear the money calling, need my peace to start getting up. Feeling like I'm blessed, but it came with a bit of luck. Feeling like you stressed, then the tension starts to fill you up. Need an intermission, yeah, they ain't the same lane as us. Come from different sticks, yeah, they're not the same range as us. They cop the pleas and top of teas, they're not hitting range with us. Keep a couple fairy